Okay, let me turn on the recording on here then. Oh no. Oh. Wait, Emma, did you start recording it? Okay, there you go.
Yeah, I think I started. Sorry.
You're good. Okay. All right. Okay, Emma, do you want to go ahead and start?
Yeah, sorry, give me just 1 second. Okay, well, first of all, thank you so much for joining us for this interview. We really appreciate it. And just kind of so that we can keep it all in a record with kind of affiliated data, can you kind of just state your name and the date to begin?
Okay, my name is Carolyn Robledo-Estrada. Today is Monday, October 26, 2020.
Okay, great. Thank you so much. And just kind of generally, how are you connected to Metz?
I grew up in East Austin. I live a block away, or I lived a block away on Canterbury Street, and so I went to Metz from first grade to fourth grade. My parents also went to Metz when they were younger. I have some uncles and aunts that went there as well, so we're like from the neighborhood. Um, or when I grew up and went to college and it was time for me to buy a house, I decided to buy a house close by to my parents. There happened to be one just like on the next block. So I've lived on Willow Street since 1996. Um, and I taught 11 years at another school. And my mom had mentioned there was the principal was looking for a teacher for a position, and I think it was, oh my gosh, 2003 or 4, maybe 2004. So I interviewed, and that's how I was able to get hired on to Metz. So I taught there, and I went to school there. My parents went to school there. My son, my one of my brothers. So a lot of people in my family have gone to Metz.
All right. And could you talk about why you initially chose to teach at Metz?
Well, like I mentioned, my mom at the time, my mom had mentioned there was a position that the principal was looking for, and I said, "Well, I'll go ahead and give it a try." I wanted to change, and I thought it'd be kind of neat to teach at the school that I went to school at, and so that's what I had an opportunity to go there, and I was hired on, and that's why I ended up at Metz, teaching at Metz.
Okay, great. And so, why did you decide to continue teaching at Metz? Like, what sort of kept you at the school?
Um, a lot. Well, the teachers for one. My experience in the previous school, there was a lot of turnover rate, and I couldn't believe coming to a different school that was also an East Side school. The teachers stayed there for years. I mean, right now there's one teacher left, Miss Clark. I don't know if y'all have talked to Monica Clark, that she's been the longest, but um, there's been a few that have been there not as long as her, but a pretty long time. Um, so it was just nice being at a school where teachers stayed, and it was nice teaching. I would get sometimes I would get students whose I knew their parents just from growing up, things like that. So it was nice being was I it made me feel even more part of the community. Um, so I don't know. I just liked the feeling there at Metz. The teachers have always been great. The students are great. Um, it feels like home, I guess you can say.
That's great. That's great to hear. And that's like one of the main reasons we wanted to reach out to you, just because you've been such a big part of the community.
Mhm.
And the next question we were going to ask was like, are there other teachers like besides Monica Clark who've been such a big part of the community there?
Oh, yeah. I mean, the ones that are still there that have been not there as long as her, but the pre-K teacher, Miss Garza, Miss Rosenthal, I've been there longer than her, but she's been a big part of the community. Um, the fourth grade teacher, Miss Witten, she's been there. They've been there. Miss Witten's been there longer than me, and Miss Garza has been there longer than me. Miss Hernandez as well. She's been there longer than I have. She teaches kinder. I'm trying to think. There, because our numbers have, shrunk. We've over the years have lost teachers because part of it's because of that we just keep getting smaller and smaller. Miss Edson just she didn't come back because of I guess because not so much the COVID, but the technology using that she didn't feel it. But she was I think she had been there longer than Monica, I believe. I think so. There've been those are the teachers now, except for Miss Edson. But there's other teachers like Miss Sasson, um, Mr. Boss. He's the librarian. He was a librarian for a long time at Metz. Um, Trying to think of, I'm sure I know. Oh, Miss Sweet wasn't there as long as me, but she did a lot for the community. Miss Wassels. I mean, I don't know. I'm sure I'm forgetting people. But those are the ones that come to mind that were here a really long time.
Yeah, that sounds really like such a long-standing community. It's really keeping that connection.
Mhm.
And so I guess just to clarify a little bit, how long have you been at Metz?
So teaching, I'm starting I think 17th year. This will be my 17th year at Metz. I started, I guess, 2004. I don't know if that calculates right, but it was around that time, 2004. Oh, can't hear you.
Sorry. Could you go over like some of your favorite moments from your time at Matt's?
As a student or as a teacher or both or
Whatever comes to your mind.
okay. So I have to say being a student at Metz, I mean I loved Metz school. I can't think of a time that I did being a student there that I did not like it. I like the fact that the teachers were warm and caring. My mom, oh my gosh, my mom saved lots of. Let me see. She has a. I mean, you might have seen this already, but this was so none of the teachers that when I came to Metz, none of them were my teachers. So here's a picture of teachers in the year. It says 1999 to 1980. I don't know if that would have been fourth grade. So my fourth grade teacher, oh my gosh, is right there. Her name is Miss Steele. I loved all my teachers at Metz. I also liked that there was a lot. We had a lot of organizations. I remember we had student council. I remember learning to play the guitar. I was in choir. Was in, is it student council? It seemed like there was more. Maybe there was other things outside of school that I was involved in. So it was really like just it was just that's a nice place to be. I remember the counselor; she was really nice, and I remember I think a group of girls we got to spend. I know you this is not allowed now, but we got to go to her apartment. Like we spent the night at her house. So it just was a nice I don't know. It was the teachers I loved. The kids were great. It was just a nice time being there at Metz. Um, and as a teacher, some of my favorite moments actually was working with like Miss Heimseth when I was teaching fourth grade with her. I'm sure she talked about the opera with you guys. Yeah, that was really that was a lot of memories with when the students I were doing the opera. I wasn't as involved, nowhere near as involved as Miss Heimseth, but it was always a nice feeling when the students performed their final piece. All the hard work they'd gone into to get it done, and it was just like amazing what the students had done. They took great pride in that, and I took great pride in them working so hard. So that's like one of the big memories I have with Matt being a teacher in fourth grade. That was in several years ago. And then I guess another good memory was also one of the years we did opera. We were celebrating our 90th birthday, so it was a real big project. And Miss Sweet, who was the teacher at the time, she helped. I found lots of students that I went to school with, and we interviewed them. So I got to talk to people I hadn't seen in years. So I don't know if you've seen the clip. I think it's on YouTube. but there's a video that shows some of the pieces of interviews. They interviewed my aunt, two of my aunts, and a couple of some of the classmates I had at the time. That was just me reliving the past and doing it with my students. So that was really a good memory. Um, Other memories is just the things we would celebrate, like 16 de septiembre, Cinco de Mayo, just, Veterans Day. Veterans Day was a really nice. That started. We don't do it anymore, but there was a music teacher who got really involved in that. Or actually, he was a first grade teacher who started it. So we would bring veterans in and honor them. So just those are kind of the things that are popping into my mind right now. I'm sure there might be others that I will think about after the fact, but
Yeah.
it's just yeah, it's just there's I don't know. There was a first grade teacher who started the history project, I think, and that's why we got involved with celebrating the 90th our 90th birthday. And then we did our 100th birthday 10 years later. That was really nice as well.
Great.
Was I teaching? I don't think I was teaching fourth grade then.
Okay.
But yeah, so those were big memories that I have of being there.
That sounds like a lot of really great traditions being carried on through the school's legacy.
Mm-hmm.
I guess a little bit on the flip side of that, are there any memories you have of Metz that perhaps weren't it?
While I was a student, I can't think of anything. As a teacher, I mean, there's things that happen when you're with students that, but nothing like, oh my God, this is the worst ever. Just, nothing. No, I mean, I can't think of anything. And we have a poor connection too. Oh, okay, it went away.
Okay. That's good.
So no, I've always been happy to be at Metz. Um, so
Okay, that's good. Can you describe your daily routine as a teacher at Metz? Like, what would your day look like?
in these times, well, it's different now because we're doing. I don't know if you want to know now or in other times, but right now, I have students that are remote learning from home. I've now still have 8 students that are in class. I teach all the subjects. So we start off in the morning with breakfast. We do our independent reading. We have a morning meeting. Then we start off with our subjects like reading, language arts. We have our recess, so the kids are able to go outside for recess. Then I come back, we do math. Lunch, the kids are able right now to go to the cafeteria. They have those dividers that are clear so they can see their friends. So they take those to lunch with them and they're spread out. This is not normal times, but that's how they're able to eat lunch with their friends. Um, then we come back, do math and writing and science, and then they have specials. But I will say that because we had been gone for so long, the kids that have come back have been so happy to be like today. I had one student come and he was just happy to be at school. The others felt the same way when they first came because they could play with their friends. Um, I mean, they're glad to be there. I know they're glad because they have a routine, and I know it's challenging at home for some of the students. So I don't know if that's the kind of answer you're looking for.
That's a good answer. Or could you also speak to like pre-COVID? What was it like?
Um, Everything except the kids were all there, uh,
Okay.
pretty much. So sometimes, depending on the year, we've had like opportunities. Like last year, we had a program called Peas, and I don't know what it stands for. I forgot. But they would come in and teach the kids. Well, one year they did teaching them about gardening. And last year they talked more about different science, more science related, like the water cycle. I'm
Right.
forgetting some of the stuff. So we've had like programs like that. One year a couple years we had something called CLI, Creative Learning Initiative, where the teachers would come in for second grade and They would teach one semester. They would teach like I think it was movement, like dance, and then the other one was more like a drama class for the kids.
Okay.
We like this year we don't have that. We don't have anything. Um, Another thing for the kids. So I guess when I was a kid, I kind of had this, but we didn't call it that. They could have it something called prime time. So after school, a lot of the students will get to stay after doing different clubs, different activities, which they enjoy. That's in normal times. They haven't. I don't know if they're doing it now. If they are, it's through Zoom.
Okay. Let me write that.
Yeah. This may be a slightly similar response since you kind of touched on some of the things related to student life, but can you describe sort of the daily routine of a student at Metz, or even maybe what you can remember from your routine when you were a student at Metz?
Um, I mean, like, I don't know if I can add to that. They do, well, we do breakfast in the classroom now, which is a little bit new. They used to have a breakfast in the cafeteria. So that's the one thing that I really like. I didn't have that growing up. They're able to make sure they have a meal. And then we also, although we don't do a lot of talking, but they get to be with their friends in the classroom. We do our subject areas. Some students get help with reading, so the reading specialist will pick them up. Our literacy first tutors will pick them up. We also have the special ed. Either they'll come into the classroom or um, they'll get pulled out, depending. Um, and then, like I said, in normal times they would have after school activities. When I first started at Metz, I don't remember teaching at Metz. I don't remember if we had after school activities. I don't think we had. We didn't have prime time. I don't remember that happening. So it's nice now that during normal times they have that opportunity to participate in different whatever their interests are, and they have different. They've had different, like, I know my son has done Boy Scouts, bicycling, um, one of those martial art kind of. I can't think of. I know my son did that one. I don't know if they had cooking, but they have different organizations that they get to, or clubs or classes they get to be a part of. We also have extended care, which I don't remember any of that as a kid. So the kids, that need their parents are still working, they're taking off just for daycare, so they do have that for the students that need it, although they don't have it right now, but normally they would. I don't know
Okay.
if that helps or if you need to elaborate on anything else.
No, I think that's good. Could you maybe talk about any special events or traditions that Metz alone has?
Uh,
Or
um,
not necessarily maybe alone, just like big traditions and events that are part of Metz.
well, the Veterans Day one was a big one that I don't, I don't know if we did it last year. I don't remember, but in the past 2 years, we would invite veterans, and we would have, like, it was a big deal. We would decorate the school. The kids would come up with questions, and we would have like an assembly. They would introduce the veterans to the whole school. We do the pledge, sing America the Beautiful, I think, or one of the patriotic songs, and then they would get a nice breakfast, and then they would go to different classrooms, and the students would interview the different veterans. I know one year we had Cornyn. The
Oh, okay.
We had him visit one year. He spoke. And so what they would do is they'd ask the kids to invite their family members. So they'd send out invitations if anybody had a family member that would like to participate.
Okay.
Um, so that's a big one. I'm trying to think of. kind of our traditions kind of died out the past few years just because I don't know it just kind of had. But we used to do years ago a teacher talent show, and the kids and the parents got a kick out of that. But that was years ago.
Okay.
Yeah, and yeah, it was. I think we did do it more recently, but anyway, so that was kind of a tradition back a while back. I know 16 de septiembre and Cinco de Mayo, we do. There used to be a real nice where each grade level would present something to the school. I think it was for Cinco de Mayo though. That was really nice. Some of the classes would dance. Um, just different. I know one grade level, the pre-Ks, the teacher would always read about the famous people, and they dress up as the important person. So that was real cute. Um, oh, yeah, now I'm starting. Christmas time, they do have, or they have in the past, where they have like breakfast with Santa. So,
Okay.
so the Santa will come in. They can take pictures. Yeah, uh, they. It used to be where Santa came in during the school day, but I think the last few years it was more on a weekend.
Okay.
I'm trying to think of, oh, they would do the fifth graders the past few years would do a Valentine's Day dance because they were raising money for a field trip that they
Right.
would go to because they would go camping.
Right.
Past 2 or 3 years they did that. I can't remember the place they went, but anyway, they would raise money, so they had a Valentine's dance. The kids loved that. So it was second through fifth grade. Um, the recent one. I think of um, I can't. I think I think that's what I can think of for right now.
Okay.
So out of sort of the traditions you've listed, whether as a student or as a teacher, do you have a particular favorite? And maybe why is that one your favorite?
Well, I mean, I have to say the one that we stopped doing, I was really sad, was the opera. When we were in fourth grade. First, it was a music teacher and Miss Heimstadt that were real involved in doing it, and then over time, this other person took over, and then somebody else took over, and then after that, I don't know, it kind of just stopped. But I just thought that was my favorite because the students they would create the props. What is it? They had how we do production, and they would eat. Everybody had some sort of input into this opera. So everyone, it wasn't just the people that performed. They had people who did the props. They had the oh my gosh, I can't think of the manage. What I don't remember what they're called. Like the manager, not the director, but the kids were very involved in that. Like
Gotcha.
so I really liked that the students involved as they could with it. And even writing, they were for at one point they did. There were students that wrote the opera.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah, I think it kind of changed after the beginning, but that was the way it was at the beginning. They would write it, and I know Miss Heimseth was really involved in that part, and they create the music, everything. So I think that's been my most favorite thing at Met. That particular what we would do is the opera, the fourth grade opera. I do know at one point, two second grade would go on this big field trip. I think it was to NASA, but I never was a part of that because I didn't teach second grade at the time. So teachers like really like there were teachers there that if they liked something they were interested in, they would get involved and they would make sure that the children would get involved. They did it for the kids because they loved like Miss Rosenthal, for example, she's real into gardening, and because of her, and another teacher had started it. We have a garden at Metz that she's worked really hard on, and we've had plants planted. So I guess that's another thing. I'm more of the type that follows along, but there's been teachers that have been showed real great leadership and have gotten involved with the kids because they care about the kids. Like Miss Time says, chose to do opera because she wanted the kids to be involved in that.
Right.
So
All right. Could you maybe talk about, so we've done a lot of research and we're also just like wondering how to approach this topic. And we know like since Metz is very bilingual,
mhm.
um, can you describe the role it plays, bilingualism in the school?
Well, I will say now that this year we're kind of merged, even though we're still separate, but we really aren't. Metz and Sanchez. Sanchez is a dual language school. So we started off that way a few years back, but because of the population had changed to where I guess we weren't getting as many bilingual kids because in the more recent years, I'm not a bilingual teacher. In the more recent years, the bilingual teachers would get like a mixed class of English and Spanish, so it was kind of hard for them to do the dual language faithfully. So I know in the 70s, I remember Mr. Flores was really influential. I believe I'm not sure if I'm correct that he hit in the 70s was when the bilingual education started at Metz. I was in the English class though, so I can't really speak too much about it. But it, uh, we definitely respect and honor students of all cultures. We have in recent years, which has really, I thought has been really great, is I don't know if it's been the past 10 years, and I'm going off topic, but we've gotten Burmese students from Burma,
Okay.
and we've gotten some students from different countries in Africa. Not a big amount of students, but enough to it's it's not just one or two. There's more,
Right.
and
Right.
so for me, I like the fact that we've become more diverse, um, which never when I was a kid, it was Hispanic. Well, when my parents were at Metz, it was white, and then I think the Hispanics started coming in. But when I got, that was in the probably the late 40s, 50s, and then when I went to school in the 70s, we were mostly all Hispanic. I remember maybe a couple African American students, but it was mostly Hispanic. And then same thing when I started teaching at Metz, it was pretty much Hispanic. But as time has passed, we've gotten like people from other countries, which I uh, I I like that. Like I like that our students are able to be exposed to different cultures. I don't
Right.
think I answered your question about bilingual education, but
No, that's great. That's great. Like context is also very important, and
okay.
you definitely did answer the question, so you're
Okay.
good.
Okay. I just yeah, I mean, I'm not the bilingual teacher, so it's kind of hard to
Yeah,
answer that question for me. But anyway,
gotcha.
Yeah, no, that's actually, I think, a great transition to our next question, which is thinking sort of more broadly about how Metz has changed over the years. So if you could just speak to that a little bit.
okay. Well, I don't know. I think I might have already, but so I do know. Growing up around Metz, my parents, did mention where on Canterbury where we lived. They said actually my mom's family, the house I grew up in, my mom's family lived there. Um, And I think what I've heard from them is that it was pretty, that it was mostly white, I guess. And I guess once the Mexican Americans started moving in, that's when I guess they started moving out. And I know, I don't know if this is, oh my gosh, something, I don't know if y'all want to look this up. It came out in the paper and I can't think of the name of my mom, my family knows her, but she passed away this year. She was like, I think she was like a teacher here at Metz. She grew, or maybe not Metz, but Austin High in Johnston, maybe. I can't think of her name. Anyway, she grew up right down the street from like a couple of blocks down from Metz. But she was an educator, and she was white. She lived in the neighborhood too. So and the way I think the way I understand it is because my dad also grew up in the neighborhood, but he grew up closer to the Lady Bird Lake, Colorado River. And I want to say that I think that was more Hispanic. I know over by Zavala it was more Hispanic. So that's why they opened Zavala up. Because I guess from what I've heard, they wanted to keep the Hispanic students separate from the white. That's what I've heard. That's
Okay.
why those two schools are so close together. But anyway, so by the time I got to Metz, it was mostly Hispanic. Um, I don't, like I said, I was in the English speaking classes, so I don't know about the bilingual classes, but they were there. Excuse me. And then when I became a teacher at Metz, it was still mostly Hispanic. And it wasn't until, I don't know if it's been about 10 years, I'm just guessing, but we started getting students from Burma. And I know Sanchez has students from Nepal. So this year I do have a student from Nepal. Um, and I personally like the diversity. I wish there was more of that. Like, uh, so, um, so students can be exposed to different cultures.
Right.
But that's kind of where we are now. So now it's still like Hispanic, mostly Hispanic, very few African American, and then we have um, a very few white students. And one of the things that has changed a lot is there was a neighborhood school. So people lived in the neighborhood and went to Met. Now you don't see that. People are either live across the apartments, across the river. Um, I do know, just thinking when I first started teaching at Met, a lot of the parents that like they may have gone to Met, they might have moved out, like to South Austin or to Kyle or wherever Buda, they would still bring their kids to Met. And I think part of it was because they had like the grandparents still lived in the neighborhood. That that is no longer the case. Um, so it's changed quite a bit.
Right. That makes sense. Yeah. So all right, so now we want to kind of switch topics and talk about AISD as well. So how would you characterize the relationship between like METS and then the rest of AISD?
Are you talking about like, can you explain a little bit more, please? Like,
Just like the school and maybe the faculty or the students and or maybe how are they different from like what you perceive the rest of AISD to be? Or maybe just like in whatever way you want to.
hmm. I mean, I know there's been talk about, I mean, they've talked about how East Austin has been segregated, which I agree, it has been, and to some extent it still is. We still have minorities at our school. We're definitely different from like the west side of Austin. Um, I do know that, and I don't know if these questions, I think they're going to come up, but our neighborhood has changed. It's being gentrified. A lot of my neighbors are not from here. I do see a lot of dogs. I do see some people with strollers. I do see some children that are elementary age, but the ones that are elementary age do not come to Metz. Um, so it makes me sad that they're not bringing their students to our school, but I can't do anything about it. But um, so I don't know if that's what.
No, that's kind of what I was wondering. So you were talking about like there were elementary, so there were a lot of kids in the neighborhood, but they don't end up going to Mets.
I don't know if there's a lot now, but I do see students. I mean, I see, what is it, elementary age? I don't know that there's a lot, but they
Right.
don't come to school at Metz. I think a few of them do, but not, um, no, not a lot. And I can't say that there's a lot of kids because I don't know if that. I think there are a lot of people in the neighborhood that don't have children that are young.
Right.
From what I can tell. I mean, there's people yeah, they seem really young, like they don't have children.
Okay.
And sort of thinking about AISD, excuse me, sorry, and how, you know, it sort of influenced this final stage of Metz.
Mm-hmm.
Were you involved in any of the discussions or the decisions related to the decision to merge Metz and Sanchez, or sort of how did that process play out for you personally?
Well, they did have a committee. I was not on the committee. There were members from Met, Sanchez, and Zavala. Um, so uh, it was painful and sad. Um, when they did vote, it wasn't super close, but Sanchez and Metz were kind of, they were, there was I don't know, I felt like because Zavala didn't get all the points, they probably should have had a runoff, but you know, that's not how it worked. Sanchez got the most votes. Um, it made me frustrated because, and I did speak at the school board, you know, I don't know if Miss Heimseth has mentioned this to you, but I do know that Miss Camacho, who the recreation center down the street is named after her. I know she and other parents got really involved. I think it was in the maybe late 80s. I was in college at the time, so I don't remember any of this. But they were having problems with the building, Met's building. It was old and run down. And I think Monica Clark's probably talked about her experience. But anyway, they really pushed for a new building for them to build a new building. And they were able to get that to happen. And for me, it just makes me sad and frustrated that out of the three schools, that's the newest building. They fought hard to get that building, and for it to not be the one chosen, and I don't know what the future holds for that building. I don't know if they're going to knock it down or sell the property. That saddens me quite a bit. And I live right down the street, so I had a hard time with that because I know that if they build houses, all that hard work that these people, the parents at the time, they fought for that school to be built, it just hurts me. It upsets me.
Okay.
But I was in the committee to help after that to help give ideas for the Sanchez building. But I mean, oops, oh, I lost y'all.
Oh, can you hear me?
I can hear you, but I did something to my y'all coming.
Okay.
Oh, okay, y'all can still see me.
Yeah.
Yeah, we can still see you.
Uh-oh.
The next question is how has kind of along the same vein, how has the news of Metz's closure impacted students, faculty, and parents?
What did I do?
Oh, sorry.
Okay, I can hear y'all, but I can't see y'all. Can y'all hear me?
Yeah, we can hear
Yeah,
you.
we can hear you.
Sorry. I did something to my computer. Now I can't see anything. But as long as y'all can hear me. Sorry about that.
Okay.
No, you're completely fine.
Okay.
Yeah, the question was, how has the news of Metz's closure impacted students, faculty, and parents?
Um, I'm just speaking from my opinion, so I really don't know. Like, I know there were, was it last year? I can't even remember how long ago it was. I guess it was last school year when it finally went to the school board um, to modernize. Was it last year? Anyway, it doesn't matter. Like I said, I spoke and a few other teachers spoke, and we tried to get parents involved. Not too many parents, very few parents came to speak. Um, I don't know how they feel about it. I'm sure they're sad. So, but the fight to keep it open. There were a couple of parents. There was, I know, one family person that did. She came out on the news and everything, but I didn't see the what would have happened to get the school built. The people that were involved, I didn't see that this time around.
Okay.
You know, the kids like just coming back this year because we call ourselves Metz Sanchez. I had one student. He's like, "No, I'm Metz. I'm not Sanchez." And I know my son feels the same way about that as well. He's like, oh, you know, very proud to be a Metz student. So it's sad. I mean, I don't know. I'm sure parents are sad, but the fight wasn't there that I had hoped for.
Gotcha.
Yeah. And I guess this is kind of the broader perspective of that, but how has the news of Metz's closure impacted sort of the surrounding East Austin community, or even how do you see it maybe changing that sort of landscape after the closure?
Well, I mean, I know people spoke up to try to keep Mets open. There were people who came to the community meetings, but this was kind of like after it was decided. Um, as for when it closes, I don't know. I can't really, I don't know how the community, the surrounding community feels because I don't really know the community now. I think the people that lived here before would be upset, but the people now that live around here, I don't know how they feel about it. I'm They might be okay with it. I don't know. And can you ask was it you talked about the parents? The parents, I would think parents are sad about it, but I don't. I mean, it's kind of like, well, what can you do? Maybe
Gotcha.
I don't know. And I would say there's some parents that I'm sure are not happy, or maybe all parents are not happy, but the voice, you don't hear their voices. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah, completely.
So do you live, so where exactly do you live pertaining, like, in relation to Metz? Like, how close to the school do you live?
Very close. I'm on the next block. And so I live on Willow, and then I grew up on Canterbury, which but it's the same distance. I live the house. If I look outside, the house behind me is the house I grew up in.
Oh, wow.
My brother lives there now, but yeah, so
Gotcha.
very very close, and I can walk. I can see Mets from if I stand outside my yard.
Right.
So
This is sort of a continuation of what we talked about kind of 2 questions ago, but um, in terms of people who live around you or maybe just live in East Austin more generally and are connected to Metz, can you think of any individuals that come to mind that are sort of in that middle space, being part of both communities?
part of being both. You mean say that again? The school community and the neighborhood? Is that what you're saying?
Right, yeah.
Okay. Well, I know there's one family that, well, two families really that stand out for me are the Bravos. They live close to Metz Park. They still have children. I mean, I've taught a lot of their children. I think they might have been Metz students. I think. Anyway, they bring their children to Metz, and then I would say not as many, but there's a family that lives closer. I think they live closer to Martin, the Torres family, Torrez. They had I taught quite a few of those students. I think there's actually I have one of the students right now. I've taught quite a few. Not all of them go to Metz anymore. I think these past couple of years, some of them I know, like one of them lived. It was one of those things where they went to their home school, and I don't know if they lived in Buda or Kyle, one of those places. Um, but those two families are families I can think of that have been a big part of Metz for many years since I've been teaching. Anyway,
Gotcha. And what are some of the biggest changes that have occurred in this area?
Well, the house prices have gone up a lot. Even like, I mean, I paid what I paid for my house. I mean, my house is way more than what I paid for it. I couldn't afford to live here. Um, they used at one point, I guess flipping houses was the thing to do. So they were doing that a lot in our neighborhood. But then now they pretty much knock the houses down and build new ones. So if you drive around, you'll see a lot of new houses. I think it also, I can't remember the year the power plant closed. But once the power plant closed, that's when the neighborhood started changing. That's when you would see more people come in, flip houses, and then I think that made a big difference as well. So
Gotcha.
I don't know if you know anything about the power plant, but I know as a person growing up, sometimes it could be really loud. I remember there would be times in the summer. It wasn't every day, but it would be so loud we'd have to close the door. And I know that there were people who fought really hard to get that Holly plant closed. So anyway, yeah, when I walk around Metz or around the neighborhood, there's just a lot more people they're very that are, you can tell they're not from here, or definitely not from the neighborhood, and definitely they're even don't seem like they're locals. They're from other states. Sometimes I see cars with different license plates from different states. So it's changed quite a bit, and it's um, more, I guess, people with money, or I guess because they're the ones that are making the property go up, the value of the property.
Right.
Um, and sort of a follow up of that, how do you feel about a lot of these changes that have taken place in the community?
Um, I do miss. I miss the feeling of a community, um, where people looked after each other. You knew the families. I miss that. It's like I don't. There's still a few families here that I know that are from East Austin. But like on my block this summer, actually, the Vasquezes are another family that have sent their children here. They just moved. They lived across the street from me. They finally sold their house and moved, which they would look out for our house when we would go out of town, that kind of thing. Um, so I miss that. Like the neighbors I have now, I know them, but not all of them. Some of them are. I don't. I don't know if I could recognize them. The one that's next door to me, I know her. The two that are next to me, but I don't feel like I know my neighbors. Um, so that's sad. I miss the community feeling, like knowing your neighbors.
Right.
Although I know people were not. I know it had a reputation like, oh, East Side. Nobody wants to go to the East Side. It's too scary down there. I never felt that way. I felt safe. I don't feel safe now, but I felt safe then because you kind of knew people. And I know, just from Mike, I have an uncle who probably would like speaking with y'all. They used to tell stories about how they would go, well, the boys anyway, back in their day, they would run the streets. They wouldn't come home till it was time for dinner. But that was back in the 50s and 60s where it was safer than maybe the 70s. But anyway, they would just go out and play. And I know when I was growing up, my brothers, I was an indoor person, but the same thing. They'd play football on the streets and, just hang out. And, you don't really see that anymore.
Right. Um, so how have these changes shaped Metz's evolution? Would you say it's contributed to more of like, I mean, I feel like I know the answer to this one, but like a positive change, or is it more of like a negative change?
Well, it led to the closure of Metz. No,
Right. Yeah.
no, I wouldn't say positive for Metz. or these schools in this area. Because I mean, even though they're all close by, we had it filled to capacity. I remember even at one point, Linder Elementary, that's in South Austin, they were overflowing. So Sanchez Metz. I don't know about Zavala Brook. I think we took their overflow of students, and I mean, Brook closed. I'm sure Linder's not anywhere near what it was um, those years that we took their students in.
Right.
So it's just people can't afford to live here, so they move out, and so yeah, that's disappointing. Sad.
Definitely. Um, this is kind of pivoting a little bit again, but I know that Dr. Lang, our professor for this course, mentioned that your parents kept Met's news. And we are sort of wondering if you could tell us a little bit more about that.
I don't know if you're talking about, like, I have my mom. She kept articles of like anything. I don't know what news, if it came out in the Statesman or what newspaper, but anything that had to do with Mets. So, and I feel weird because I can't see y'all. Y'all disappeared. But here's something that I didn't even know until we started doing the 100. This is a copy my mom. I don't know if Danny Camacho. I'm sure he's been mentioned to y'all. He was a real, like, he was a historian for Mets and for the neighborhood. So I don't know if she got it from him, but it says here a Mets newspaper. It's kind of faded out. It's a copy from 1955, 56.
Oh my gosh.
Here, so it's not the original. There's an article. It's funny because it's on typewriter. It talks about, like, an article on who the safety patrols were. Oh, that's another thing. My brother was a safety patrol. I never got to be one. Um, Talks about band. I'm just looking at the titles. Detention hall. Each teacher has to fill out a slip of paper and has to be approved by Mr. somebody or other to see if he thinks the child might need more or less time in detention hall. So far, I have escaped. That's funny. So, and if you look at the names, some of them are white names. Um, they're talking about just like Meet the Secretary, the Drama Club, uh, World News. Talking about the Olympics and Queen Elizabeth's visit to Nigeria. Anyway, there's just different little. I don't know if it's one edition, but it's kind of cute. They just wrote their little article. Then I have my mom has. Let me see what she has here. Oh, that's I forgot about. I don't know. I think that's like just art. Like, this is Metz Recreation. Sorry. Um, oh, my mom was a Girl Scout leader, but it wasn't really for Metz. It was for the neighborhood. Uh, oh yeah, I guess it says here Metz Elementary School Scouts making up for a troop this year. So my mom and this lady started a Girl Scout troop years ago. Here's a picture of us. There's me right there,
Oh,
selling Girl Scout cookies or something. I don't know. She has these are copies. Somebody made copies of these. Let's see. Funds. I don't know if they're worded fun. A play they had. This is when my brother was in. This is my brother's grade. My older brother. I don't know if he's on here, but anyway, there's just like different things that came out. Here's track and field winners. This is when my brother was in school. So my brother. I don't know where he is in this. This is a copy. I don't know where he is. So there's, like, I guess they came out in the paper here. It looks like the stage they had so when the old Mets, I remember it had an auditorium, which they don't do auditoriums anymore. So I always thought that was neat. We had chairs to sit in. So here they perform. Looks like they're singing. My brother's right there. I can see him right there. You see the plaid pants, so it's in the 70s. Oh, and here's another thing. I don't remember this as much, but it was a big deal when my brother went. They used to have a book. The kids would create books. My mom saved my brother's. I don't know what happened to it, but they called it the Metz Elementary. This one, it says they concluded their third year of business, and its business is producing attractive illustrated books written by the school's fifth graders. There's a little article about it, and it came on at this newspaper anyway. So they all, now back then there were no computers or anything like that. So I think they used, I think they typed them, and then the parents. My mom said she remembers doing when she was remembers doing that. I think they used I think it was like contact paper. They would put it over the cardboard so they would look like real books or supposedly real books. So that was I did. This was in fifth grade, and I didn't make it to fifth grade at Metz. So my brother got to do that. I don't know if I did or not. But I do remember that though. Okay, I guess that's oops the same stuff. Let's see what I have here. Oh yeah, here's a picture of me with the old Mets. I'm the one with red right there. I guess it was a book fair. I don't know. I don't know if that's true or not, but they're right here. I don't know if it was the book fair. I can't really tell, but I said it was. And then here's Miss Sweet. She's if you can talk to Miss Sweet, she was the one that did the videos on when we met for our 90th birthday. She filmed the people we interviewed, the former students. But she was our teacher of the year at Metz, and then she was our teacher for the district. It's been several years, but she'd be a good person to talk to.
Okay, we'll keep that in mind.
And Mr. Boss too. Here's my dad when he was safety patrol.
Wait, I can't see. Could you hold it up just a little bit?
Oh, sorry.
Oh. Oh.
So it was there, I guess, M for Metz.
Okay.
And there's a picture of my brother. I don't know what grade he was in there. Here's a picture of my mom, 1953 to 1954.
Wow.
Her school picture. These are just pictures of like the stage. I think when we perform on the stage. I don't know what. Oh, here's my brother's book from the book fair that he made.
Oh.
So I'm guessing he has it. I don't know. And you can this was my brother's fifth grade graduation, but you can see this is the auditorium, so people could actually sit. We don't have, we don't have auditoriums now.
Right.
And then this is the principal. He was a really good principal, Mr. Flores. I don't know if he's still alive. I know a few years ago, my mom's no longer alive, but she had mentioned she would see him. But and he remembered me years ago when I first got out of college. But it would be nice to interview him, but I wouldn't know how to get a hold of him.
Okay.
This is my uncle. These are what my mom has.
Oh.
And this is my mom's brother. I don't know if that's what you were looking for, but these are some of the. Here's a picture of. Let's see. This is my brother. She has, I guess, more stuff on my brother. Their class. This is my brother right here. So you can kind of see I remember there was one African American student, but I don't know if you can see.
Yeah.
And then if you watch that, I don't know if Miss Seth, I think if you just do a search on Metz Elementary, it'll come up. There's a YouTube. I think it's on YouTube that Miss Sweet put out, and it shows the project that we worked on, the people we interviewed that were former Metz students. She was one of them. Her name is what's her name? Joanne. I don't know what her last name was. Torres, maybe. Anyway, she's a lawyer now, and there are people who have gone to Metz that are lawyers, doctors, things like that. Um, yeah, my mom kept anything that had to do with anybody. She'd keep their articles. Yeah, this is the original article of the Girl Scouts. And I think my mom, when Cesar Chavez went to visit Metz in the late 80s, I believe, I think she went to go see him there at school. She saved that article. Are y'all still there?
Yeah, we're still here.
Let me know if I'm showing too much. Oh, here's the article, a better picture of Cesar Chavez when he came to Metz.
Wow.
That's also, I believe that's also in that video. So do a search on Metz Elementary on YouTube, and I think it'll come up, and you can hear the people who were interviewed at the time. And this is Miss Camacho that they was very involved at Metz, and her son Danny Camacho. He lived on our block. He lived behind me. He would do riff at Metz. Riff is where you would give free books to the kids. So he and my mom would do that every year. But if I remember, I think he might have stopped doing that when I started going there. They said he would decorate the library. They have like a little case. So he had a lot of, I know he had a lot of, I don't know what he decorated, but he had a lot of things to decorate the little showcase. Oh, here's a blown up picture of my dad's picture. Oh yeah, look, they really blew these up. I think it was for the the birthday. Somebody blew these pictures up. Here's
I
one.
kept everything.
Yeah, my mom did. Here's one where I'm not in this one, but we dressed up as, well, let's see. Okay, we dressed on Halloween for favorite historical characters. Somebody dressed up as Dolly Madison, Susan B. Anthony, Florence Nightingale, Chris Charles Drew. That's funny. I don't even know if these kids know who they are. So that, yeah, I think. Oh, and of course, here's Miss. This is Miss Heinz's beautiful artwork. Or we have a T-shirt.
Wow.
Well, one of the students made that, but she made it nicer. I don't know how. So, I think I might have more, but anyway, that's what I have. I know, Miss Hamseth has a lot to share. I'm sure she did share. Oh, here's another picture of that. Oh, this is perfect for. So this is the one I told you that was a lawyer, but it says Met school students learn about elections, and here they have little posters.
Oh.
My mom saved that. I know we were in student council, so I'm not sure what. I think it was about student council. Anyway, so that's what I have.
That was super, super helpful. And we're like probably going to contact you again to see whether we can maybe get copies of
Yeah.
those. And yeah.
I'll try to organize them now because I kind of. But yeah, I know. Yeah, that's fine. And I think Miss Heimseth, I'm sure, has a lot as well. I'm pretty sure.
Okay.
But I don't know if one of the questions you already were going to ask that or not. But people to speak to, if y'all wanted to interview more people,
Yes. Yeah.
I would say Mr. Boss, Don Boss, he was a librarian at Metz. Um, I could ask one of my uncles. I have one that likes to talk. If I don't know if he can do Zoom or anything like that, though. I don't know what technology he has, but um, Miss Edson what might be a good person too. She was at Met for a long time. Miss Faith Edson.
Like
She was a teacher.
how do you spell your last name?
Edson, Edson.
Okay, gotcha.
Um, I haven't like the people we interviewed. I would suggest you watch that on YouTube. Hopefully, y'all can find it. 'Cause, like some of those people, I haven't been in touch with for a long time, but
Okay.
you might learn something from that. Um, And let me, if I could turn on my, let me see where my phone is. What do I do with my phone? Oh well. Anyway, but yeah, definitely look that up because Miss Sweet would probably be a good person to interview as well.
Okay.
And then if you want my uncle's information, you can email me and I can ask him first, or I don't know if you're interested in him.
Yeah, of course. What's his name?
His name is Chester Torres, Torres.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, and I think even, if any other names come to mind, or in terms of contact information, feel free to contact
Okay.
either Minakshi or I, just
Okay.
through email. We would love more of that information if it comes up.
Okay. And are y'all doing this next semester as well, or other students taking that over?
Might be other students.
Oh, okay.
So yeah.
Yeah, I can talk to him, I guess, but I don't know would a phone interview be okay with him just in case?
Yes, of course. I think we can work something out that way.
Yeah, because I kind of think he may not. I mean, he might, but I don't know. Um, see,
I guess our closing question is kind of just, obviously we went through sort of the formal questions, but if there's anything that we didn't cover that you think is important related to Metz's history or your connection to Metz that you want to discuss, this is kind of the closing sort of. Is there anything else we should know about Metz?
um, there's stories that say that it's haunted.
Right
Uh,
there.
I don't know. The only experience I can say I have had is last year. Was it last year? I was going on the weekends and my projector turned on. The what is it? The screen projector. That's the only weird thing that's ever happened to me. But I know my uncle. He likes talking about. He has mentioned that when they were little, something about the basketball court, that the school was open. I don't know. I don't remember the specifics, but he believes there's ghosts there. Both my uncles do. Um, let's see. I love Max. I'm sad that it's closing. And I'm very glad I was able to meet Miss Heimseth and her husband, since he's the one that helped design the school. It's
Right.
a beautiful school. If you ever get a chance to even just pass by it on the outside, I don't know if they talked about it, but they have they created artwork for students, like these little ceramic tiles, and they put them all around the school. Um, it's a nice it's a nice place to be.
Gotcha.
I'm glad I was able to teach there as long as I did and to be a student there. I'm proud that my son went there. I have nieces and niece and nephew that went. My great niece went. She's the last of the people in my family who have gone to Metz. I have uncles and like my parents, both sides of the family know each other. So when they got married, they grew up in the community. So a lot of Metz is a special place for me. I'm a proud Metz alumni,
Gotcha.
and a lot of great things happen there. So,
Well,
and
thank you. Sorry, go ahead.
it just feels like a family. It feels like a family there. That I'm glad I was able to be a part of it as a
Right.
teacher and as an educator and as a student.
Gotcha.
Well, thank you so much for taking time out to do this interview with us,
Yeah.
and just sharing your perspective on Meds. It's so interesting to hear about the history as we've been doing this project, sort of putting together all the pieces.
Mhm.
So we really appreciate you taking your time to do this interview with us.
Okay, I hope I gave you a lot of information.
Definitely.
It is super
Okay.
helpful.
Okay, well, thank you guys for doing this. I'm glad y'all are doing this.
Thank you so much. We really appreciate
Sure.
it.
Okay.
Okay.
I don't know how to get my screen back on, so y'all can hang up whenever y'all are ready. I don't know what I did to but okay.
Okay.
All right.
We'll go ahead and hang up. Okay,
Okay.
thank you so much.
Uh-huh.
Bye-bye.
All right. Bye-bye. What did I do? Oh, that's what I did. Okay. All right, I'm going to hang up. I finally figured out what I did wrong. Bye.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Okay.